In a world where hopium and common sense collide, starring the CryptoKeeper and BlockchainCrusader. Welcome to Debate Crypto. Question everything.
Trust nothing.
It's your boys, Keeper and Crusader, and it is, you already know what time it is. It's What If Wednesday, and we have got a banger coming for you tonight. I gotta say, Miguelito, he came up with this one, and it's going to be a fun one. I'm super excited about it. Miguel, first of all, before we dive in and get into it, how was your day, bro? A lot of times I feel like I jump right in and don't even ask. How was your day?
You want to know the real truth, or you just?
Yes, I want to know the truth.
Terrible.
It was
terrible.
terrible.
That's the theme of my life.
Bitcoin to the rescue. We are here. We're going to have some fun this evening. Chat. Make sure to kick it off in there. Smash the likes. If you are on mobile, just X out of the mobile live chat. Takes 2 seconds. Hit the like. If you guys could, share this out. Share it on Twitter. Share it on YouTube. Share it out on TikTok. Let everybody know. Keeper and Crusader are about to go ham on the stream tonight. So thank you guys for being here. Let's take a little peek at the markets. Before I do that, just as a reminder, tomorrow, TA Thursday, we got Crypto Weatherman coming on. I think Blood's going to be coming on. Magic Internet Money. I personally won't be here. It will be Miguel at the helm. I might try to jump in, but I'm going to be out of town. But it's going to be a great TA Thursday tomorrow night. And after having the Fed meeting today, I think we've got a lot to talk about. So make sure you guys check that out. And when it's not TA Thursday, when it's not around the charts, you know where to go. Check out your boy Frankie Candles over on BitBoy Crypto. All right, let's take a look at the markets real quick. Let's see what happened after this meeting. I saw a little bit of movement back and forth, back and forth. Let's see if anything settled down. I'm going to have to update this real quick. Let me hit the little refresh. We have got the global markets, 989.96 billion with a B. We had the T. We don't have the T. We're at billions of dollars, down 2.46%. Bitcoin still over 20 at 20,157, and ETH still over 1,500 at 1,520. Rest of the way down, pretty flat, down a couple percent here and there, except for Dogecoin. Listen, you make big runs, you have big dumps. That's just a reality. So 10.32% down on the day.
10%, yeah, 10% not even a big drop in the crypto space.
No, it's not, but it's at least something to talk about. Whereas the weeklies, they're still up 77%. So can't complain too much about that. But Miguel, I got to tell you, I did a stream earlier today, and for those of you that didn't see it, go check it out. We watched the FOMs. We watched the meeting with Jerome Powell. He took questions. It was really hawkish. For those of you that don't know, hawkish is saying basically aggressive towards, like, they're continuing to raise rates. As a general rule, that's not good for capital markets. That's not good as it relates to the prices of these risk-on assets. But it's frustrating. They never truly answer these questions. They dance around. They tell you one thing when really they mean something else. They keep talking about this soft landing. Ladies and gentlemen, listen. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Hopefully everybody's sitting down. This is not going to be a soft landing. If a soft landing is falling off a 50-foot cliff with no sort of restraint, bungee, nothing, and hitting and bouncing, if that's a soft landing, that's what we're in for. So you call it what you want. I think we're in for some trouble. I think we've got another leg down.
I think the bounce counts as a soft landing.
You said you think a bounce counts as a soft landing. I think me falling 50 feet onto concrete, I think I'd probably just break the concrete, and wouldn't be good. All right, so tonight, What If Wednesday? First of all, guys, as a reminder, 5 ETH. Somebody's going to have the opportunity to win. Miguel, tell the people how they're going to have an opportunity and what the 5 ETH is looking like and what they need to know about ending this, finishing this week out on the faction war.
Dude, it's real simple. The faction war is ending this week. So if you haven't put in your presentations, your tweets, you have a couple of last more days before it's over. And then we will be picking the winning faction this weekend. So make sure you are active in the Discord for that to happen. Obviously, the winning faction of this round will have an advantage for the next round, which is where the 5 ETH comes in. If you're new, you say, hey, how can I get into this faction war? Simple. Join the Discord, become a holder, pick up a gas mask. It's literally like $6 to $7 right now. You pick up a gas mask off the floor, you become a holder, you're automatically put onto the list to come into the faction war. Then the faction war kicks off, and we're off to the races, right? We're competing for 5 ETH. Only one faction will win. And within that faction, only one person will have the opportunity to take the ETH home. Yeah. So they're competing in all sides, right? You have friends, you have enemies, you're surrounded.
Wait till we give you the instructions on the game. I got to tell you, that's what I'm excited for. I'm excited to actually lay it out, because this is by far and away the most fun thing that we've done. And we're really going to find out a lot about our community members and who wants to play one way, who wants to play another way. You know, at the end of the day, I'm rooting for whoever. Essentially, it's going to come down to who can be crafty, but who can be a team member and a teammate at the same time. And so keep in mind, being selfish too much is going to hurt you, and it's going to hurt everyone else. You'll see when we get the instructions out there. So super excited about that. But 5 ETH, guys. So let everybody know, if they want an opportunity, get in there and check it out. Okay. So what if Wednesday? So what if the US dollar were to weaponize Bitcoin to save its world reserve currency status? When Miguel brought this to my attention, we've got an article we're going to pull up, and I will tell you there's a little bit of reading tonight, guys, but bear with us. I'm telling you, it's worth it. There's a great conversation here. When Miguel first brought this to my attention, I sat there and I kind of took it in, and then I looked at him and I said, yeah, you're going to have to break this one down for me. But as we started to talk, there's a whole lot of like gears turning and clicking into place. And I was like, oh, so let's dive into that. Let's talk about it. Don't forget, stay till the end. We've got some more information for you as it relates to the faction war at the end. So make sure you stick around to the end. And guys, don't forget to smash the like, follow us on Twitter, jump into the Discord, do all the socials thing. You know, it's a bear market. The least you can do, make sure you're in all of our socials. All right, let's check it out. Let's talk about the weaponization of Bitcoin. And this is, I've never heard anybody attack this position. And so I'm really interested to see what the chat, we want to hear what you think about this. Okay. We really want to hear what you think about this. So we're going to skip around a little bit. Here we go. So the United States, could they be about to weaponize the dollar, making it not so trashy? Have we concluded that US isn't going to willingly allow China to be the world's next rising empire like once proclaimed? Would the US aggressively raising rates lead to a capital flight to the US, a country that has comparatively healthier banking system than its competitors in China, Japan, and Europe? Do we have any evidence for this outlandish left field hypothetical scenario? Okay, let's talk about it. Don't forget, the United States is in a race with China. The second most used foreign currency in the world is the euro, right? So here's the question. Why would Jerome Powell be refusing to align monetary policy with one of our closest allies in Europe? So let's go a little bit further down here. Let's talk about this. So whether the U.S. is at war with other central banks or not, it doesn't change the fact that the country needs a new neutral reserve asset to back the dollar. Creating a global deflationary bust and weaponizing the dollar is only a short-term play. Scooping up assets on the cheap and weaponizing the dollar will only force dollarization in the short term. The BRICS nations and others that are disillusioned with the SWIFT-centered financial system will continue to de-dollarize and try to create an alternative to the dollar. It goes in and talks about how the global reserve, the reserve currency was informally backed by the Treasury note for the past 50 years, but Nixon closed the gold window in 71. A lot of you probably know that, okay? So as we transition into the Bretton Woods era, the dilemma is finally becoming untenable. The U.S. needs to find something to back the dollar with. He says, I find it unlikely that they will back the dollar with gold. This would be playing into the hands, and think about this. This is so true. This would be playing into the hands of Russia and China, who have far larger gold reserves. As we've seen, they've been stacking up on gold, and this leaves with the U.S. with their backs against the wall. Enter Bitcoin. Bitcoin can stabilize the dollar and even prolong its global reserve currency status for much longer than many people expect. Most importantly, Bitcoin gives the U.S. the one thing it needs for the 21st century monetary wars: trust. You always hear us say it. Trust but verify. Countries may trust a gold-backed petro, ruble, yuan more than a dollar backed by worthless paper. However, a Bitcoin-backed dollar is far more trustworthy than a gold-backed petro ruble yuan. As mentioned earlier, the monetization of Bitcoin not only helps the US economically, but it also directly hurts our monetary competitors. Check this out, guys. China, and to a lesser degree, Europe, our supposed ally. Will the US realize that backing the dollar with energy directly hurts China and Europe? China and Europe are both facing significant energy related headwinds and have both infamously banned Bitcoin's proof of work mining. I made the case that the energy crisis in China was the real reason China banned Bitcoin mining in 2020. So as we transition to the digital age, this shift is coming. Now, let's talk about it. Okay, so to kind of break that down, we have been raising rates. Actually, you know what, Miguel, you can break this down if you want. I've been going ham. Let me just say this: we've been raising rates, and it's crushing other countries. But that has to stop because ultimately, that's in the short term. That's going to work, but long term, that ain't going to play out. That people are going to start still moving away from the trash dollar. Talk to me about it, Miguel. Tell me your theories on this, and then chat. Make sure to get involved. Let's have some fun tonight.
Yeah, dude. So, I mean, you're seeing what's happening with BRICS, right? BRICS is coming a coordination of a bunch of different countries, right? Massive countries getting together to trying to create their own alternative to the dollar, and they're also using deals between them. The Saudis are now sending more oil to China, even though they've been cutting back on their oil production. Yet they've been ramping up how much oil they're sending over to China. I think it's in India or Indonesia, I forgot which one it was, is also getting massive. It got 22% of their oil from Russia and China. So they're all working. They're all part of BRICS, and they're all working together to make this happen, which is a movement away from the U.S. dollar. It's a movement against the U.S. government. So that being said, we all know, we've talked about it here 100 million times, the U.S. dollar is dying. And we've talked about when the season they're going to do all of that stuff, yada yada. And yes, they can do all of that, but at the end of the day, it's just going to be the same thing that it is now. They still need a backing of some kind, right? They still need to back their CBDC, their digital US dollar, with something outside of just the force of the government, because the trust is no longer there. It's not backed by anything. And that's how the article was talking about. So using Bitcoin, right, would be their only option, because gold can't be used again, because like it was mentioned earlier, Russia and all these other countries have way much more gold than we do, and they've been stacking massive amounts of gold just recently.
Yeah.
Oil is also a problem, because the Saudis and all these other people they produce more oil, and if they align with someone else besides us, we're kind of screwed on that end. So those two things will no longer like they have in the past. What's left is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the only asset could use to back itself in the 21st century to go digital and be able to withstand, right? Fight off the whole we can't trust the dollar anymore. It's not backed by anything anymore, and really, pivot and put ourselves in a position of power once again. I think the article is like head on exactly that, just smashing it on the head with that point of Bitcoin is the only other option. There is nothing else, unless we're going to continue existing on Fugazi money, and eventually the rest of the world. We don't need. We have our own alternatives.
Yeah. And remember, guys, this is What If Wednesday. So we're playing through kind of an idea, like, what would this look like? And so as I look at it, I say, okay, on its face, you have people that just don't understand Bitcoin yet, right? They're still trying to figure out this whole blockchain thing. But for the people that do understand it, and side note, those people are big, big, big money, right? Because there's a reason that all the biggest players in the world are in Bitcoin at this point, right? Don't let anybody tell you any differently. One of Warren Buffett's biggest investments this past year was in relation to a Bitcoin mining company. So don't let anyone tell you that just because he talked down about it, tried to suppress that price, that he does, you know what I mean, that he doesn't like Bitcoin, right? We're not even talking about him. We're talking about Visa. We're talking about MasterCard. We haven't heard directly from Amazon yet. We haven't heard directly from Apple yet, but we will. But we've heard from BlackRock. We've heard from all of these massive investment companies, these hedge funds. There's a reason that they're all invested. And the reality is, if you want to make it really simple, Bitcoin is being secured by its intrinsic value that, hey, only 21,000, that's not going to change, okay? combined with the fact that you're, or 21 million, and it's combined 21,000. That'd be a heck of a number on that, wouldn't it? Come here, Boogie. So make sure, before I continue with that thought, make sure that you guys are taking your Bitcoin, putting it on a hardware wallet. We've got a ledger link down below. See, Addison saying, put it there, put it down below. We've got a ledger link down below the video, guys. So make sure to put your Bitcoin on a hardware wallet. That's right, baby. We got Bitcoin and ETH on your hardware wallet, don't we, Boogie? Huh? Mwah. I love you. And so it has its intrinsic value in supply and demand, for one. But the second part of it is it takes energy to create it. It's not like, so listen, the Fed legitimately might as well be anyone else would be going to prison for counterfeiting, right? They see an issue, they fire up the money printer, and then they'll raise rates. And then they fire up the money printer, and then they raise rates, and then they lower rates. And they're manipulating something that they are printing off of a press. They're just out of thin air. Bitcoin, not so much. The other part is you're not just paying for energy, but you have an immutable ledger. This is like anyone can see what happened, where it happened, how much the transaction was for, and everyone can see it. It's wide open. So it also solves the problem that the governments are trying to do, which can be a bad thing, but it takes away that privacy layer as well, which the governments do and are going to like. I think that
it's monetizing. Go ahead.
I'll just finish my thought with, I think at the end of the day, if you kind of put it all together, you're taking the ball out of China's court, right? Because China's having energy problems. Europe, although they're supposed to be our ally, is also, listen, if anyone says that we don't ultimately just care about ourselves, most of these countries will help each other out and position and play a game of chess, but they want to be there for themselves. And we can, I think, make the best chess move possibly by using Bitcoin, because it says, hey, we've got the best position on energy. We've got the ability in a massive amount of Bitcoin mining that is happening here, right? We understand the technology. We have massive companies investing in it, and it's not doing what the other countries are wanting us to do, which is go gold or petrol, which we don't control. So it's like, do we have another option? I don't know of one. So tell me, Miguel, you're about to.
Yeah, it's just what I was saying was basically, using energy, right? Monetizing energy, right, is what helps the United States in all these other countries. The power grid, the technology that we have from massive companies, like you were saying, is what helps us use Bitcoin's hashing power to our advantage, right? We can get way cheaper electricity and make sure that we can gather up way more Bitcoin than any other country out there. And that is the advantage between us and the majority of all these other countries around the world. So that's what that needs to be doing, right? So Michael Saylor does have a massive point when he talks about the quantifying energy and monetization, and he gives this big ass speech that uses all these fancy words that people are like, what the hell did this guy just say? Well, the basic gist is Bitcoin is energy, right? It's quantified energy into dollar values. Using that against the rest of the world will keep us in the lead. If we don't do it, we're going to get left behind. Other countries are going to create their alternatives. We have BRICS. There's a massive influx of gold and oil heading, not in our direction, heading in the directions of China and Russia and other countries. And they're all competitors, right? We are all competing to be number one. And to be number one, someone's got to be number two. Even if it's your friend, you got to keep your friend on number two to stay number one. And that's at the end of the day how all the countries work. If all the countries just wants another country to be number one, you're never going to be number one that way. And when you're right, we've talked about this. When governments have certain power, they never want to give it up. You don't want to give up your world reserve currency status, because you're not going to regain it. If somebody else dethrones you, it's over. You're never getting it back until millennia goes by and people forget that even ever happened. So to hold on to that world reserve currency, they're going to have to do every single piece that they can. And this involves Bitcoin. People want to deny, want to say whatever. The only way to quantify energy, right? Ripple, XRP, all this stuff. Yeah, it might be great for cross-border payments and all the other people talk about, but it doesn't have energy because it's already pre-mined. It doesn't have any mining, doesn't have anything. So it's not quantifying actual energy grids. So it does not help anyone.
Yeah, and we've still got 34 years before the last Bitcoin's mined. So we still have another what has been a cycle and then some of that monetary triumph, so to speak,
Yeah,
that
exactly,
monetary
right? Until
power,
it
right?
gets
It gives
replaced by something else, right? Because,
right.
by that time we've had gold, we've had oil, they've lasted a long period of time. Now they got depegged. Now the fiat was existing on its own for a while. Now that's getting replaced some way, somehow. And then, like you said, 100 something years of Bitcoin mining until
Yep.
something else then replaces that.
Talk about kicking the can down the road. We love kicking the can down the road. So if we can kick it 134 years down the road, theoretically, the US is going to be all about that. But let's take it one step further. We've talked about this on a small scale, right? We've talked about, okay, I'm getting ready to go over to Brazil in a few months, right? Let's just say that I was going to go there and actually move. But I was worried, let's just say, for example, of some sort of crime, or I was worried that I had a large amount of assets that I wanted to take with me. I didn't want to do a bank transfer or wire transfer. Maybe there's a banking issue, or I just didn't trust it. Whatever the case may be, if I convert all my assets into gold, that's easily stolen. That's easily just thank you very much. Have a good day. B, it's freaking heavy. Well, I hope my assets would be heavy, but in gold, we can hope, right? Maybe not as heavy as I'd like right now, but we're working on it. But Bitcoin, in this digital revolution that we're in the age that we're in, it solves that problem too, except for on a country size scale. Now we're talking about, hey, here's the other piece that I was thinking through. It gives people, if they truly operated in a public in a public blockchain, the government as well, it would give finally the people the ability to have some sort of trust on a federal level. Because we don't trust you hear the end the Fed, F the Fed, whatever, anything against the Fed, because what do? They just flip on a printing press. Well, guess what? What if the Fed was just in control of monitoring and whatever else needs to happen as it relates to, some massive Bitcoin mining operations? What if we could jump on right now and see the monetary policy via the blockchain? What if we, as the people, could say, you know what? Hold on a second. Let's just make sure, but we know that that's what's happening because you don't have any way to manipulate it. And so I think in a wild way, we don't trust our government whatsoever right now. At least a lot of people don't. I know I don't, just openly. How much trust would you be able to have because you could verify? So now you can move funds around, you can trust yet verify on something. You're moving into and continuing that digital age, and it's fighting against other countries that right now very possibly have a leg up on us and are moving towards a possible power takeover. I just see it all kind of playing in, and I can see
Yeah,
it
I mean,
making
I
sense.
definitely don't. I definitely don't think that they're going to allow the everything being public, right, and knowing exactly
I
what
didn't
they're
say that. I
doing.
didn't say that I thought they would, but if they did,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to use the privacy layer of their CBDC, whatever it is,
yeah,
to keep that private.
yeah,
But just knowing that they're using Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin right now, the Federal Reserve is not a federal building, right? It's
right,
literally not elected officials. It's literally a private company that decides what they want to do with the U.S. dollar side, right? Nobody elects those people. Nobody chooses when those people go away or whatever. And using Bitcoin takes that away, right? It really does separate the state from the money. And there is no longer that, okay, there's somebody up to something sketchy with what they're doing with the dollar. It isn't, because Bitcoin is Bitcoin. Nobody controls it. Nobody can just create more. They want to create more.
yeah,
Nobody can do that. Nobody can fluctuate the hash rate one way or another. Everything is set in a certain set of rules, and you just got to follow it. So you no
yeah,
longer have to trust the government. You just know that the government has X amount of Bitcoin and they're using X amount of CBDC, whatever digital dollars, to back to that or backed by that Bitcoin. And it does remove the fugazi of the US dollar and the power of the Federal Reserve. So the Federal Reserve is going to have to pivot at some point and become some kind of CBDC printing machine, and whatever technology and layers of privacy they're going to insert into how that's going to play out, I don't know. but they would definitely be removed, right, from the Fugazi money of not being backed by anything. It's literally
Mhm.
backed by Bitcoin, backed by the people securing the network, and the network decides where it's going, and it's as simple as that. So it does bring some level of, I guess, confidence back to the dollar, confidence to, like, it's no longer monopoly money. If you want to print more CBDC digital dollars, you got to buy more Bitcoin and hold it in your vaults, your
Yeah.
digital
I
vaults.
I think it's probably one of the most interesting cases I've ever heard made. Now, obviously, we came up with our case in combination with, the article that's been written, but I don't see. I do see we've got. If you don't see that we have huge problems right now monetarily, you're not paying attention. If you don't understand that economically we are in trouble when we have put ourselves there. If you don't see that when these Fed meetings are happening, we are moving at a rate at an unprecedented rate. I was talking to Blood, shout out to Blood, Crypto Blood. I was talking to Blood earlier today. The other problem is we're working on lagging indicators. The Fed is working off of almost all lagging indicators. So they keep crank. We're not even fully seeing the effects of these rate hikes yet. We're seeing maybe 150 basis points back. Like we've got so all of a sudden, here's what's going to happen. I really do believe this. We're going to hit a point where all of a sudden it's going to absolutely just be like, oh, shoot, we went too far. But it might not even be because we had to go too far. It's because we're using lagging indicators looking, we're not seeing the right now. They're not willing to use, and this bothers me, but they're not willing to use. I'll tell you what's a leading indicator is the real estate market. And they know that and they talk about it. But guess what? They can't rub your back right now with midterms coming up talking about the real estate market. The facts are the interest rates are through the roof. Home purchases are declining. Labor rates is rising. We don't have enough people versus the jobs to fill them. People are just genuinely as a whole unsure right now. And the real estate market is going to show that. And the only people that have the ability to truly weather that storm are the ultra wealthy, the ultra rich. And I don't know. I guess what I'm hoping is that if we were to make a move like this to where they didn't have the ability to just flip the printer on, they didn't have the ability to just magically change anything they wanted to, it would beg the question, would they be able to even do fractional reserve banking at that point? There's some pretty creative ideas and ways that I'm sure they could figure out to do it. And I'm sure the government is never
Oh
going
yeah,
to
I'm
be
sure
just
they can definitely figure it out
yeah,
one
they
way or
would
another.
figure it out. I agree that they would figure it out. But I think that it adds some sort of security where we know, hey, this is what we've got. This is what other countries owe us. This is what it's backed by. And then I think we see who steps on board. Now, that being said, if that were to happen, Miguel, here's the question. What's the Bitcoin going to be worth? What is it? What so
Dude,
let's say it moved to that status. This is what everybody wants to know. They're like, yo, what's my Bitcoin worth, dog? My question is, what is that number and how do we value that? Because if the whole world jumped on, theoretically, you could take the amount of Bitcoin versus the world's, basically GDP, maybe. I don't know what that number, what the math would come to that, but it'd be a freaking huge number. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? What do you think?
yeah.
What's that
So
number look like to you?
I think that's where I don't know if anybody's ever seen the movie. I haven't seen it yet, but I've seen the little portion of it. There's a movie that Zac Efron just did. It's called Gold, and to the radio, it's kind of this, like, it looks like an apocalyptic world in the future. And basically on the radio, they're talking about how Bitcoin's price has hit $1.5 million at that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, if that is the case where Bitcoin does sees, okay, hold on, what's happening with Bitcoin? And it becomes the asset that backs the US dollar, which is obviously the world reserve currency, and it re-emphasizes that. I think we're talking about millions and millions and millions of dollars per Bitcoin. And that goes
Mhm.
into the theory that eventually, at some point, right, we're already seeing it now, no one's gonna own an entire Bitcoin. If you hold an entire Bitcoin, your family is going to be set for life, forever, right? Because we're talking about millions here because we're trying to visualize it, but it could be worth billions. It could be worth so much money at that point. Um, And that's where everyone's going to own this tiny, tiny little fractional amount of Bitcoin. And even then, I think if right now, when you do the math of dividing how many people there are in the world, how many Bitcoin there is, you get a small decimal number that is how much Bitcoin is for everybody. So you would have even less than that. Actually have crumbs of Bitcoin that are worth thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And an entire Bitcoin would be huge numbers that will set your family forever.
Yeah. It's definitely an interesting thought, and it's one that that I have not, heard anyone make the case. So hopefully you can go to all your friends and family and tell them, who told you first, debate crypto. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you for being here. You could be anywhere on a Wednesday night, but you are here with Debate Crypto, getting that What If Wednesday love, figuring out, hey, what if literally the US dollar weaponized Bitcoin? And I'm on board. I'm with it. I will continue to not sell my Bitcoin.
It's better than
continue
XRP.
to stack my ETH. I'll continue to be long-term wealthy from when my XRP bags pump. That's just, it's just gonna happen. It is what it is. I'll wave at you from the beach and let you know how life's going. But Crypto Fam, we appreciate you guys for being here. Make sure that you jump into the Discord. Don't forget about the 5 ETH. The faction. Oh, I forgot to tell. The faction war, to get in, just as a reminder, get in the Discord. Okay. Make sure that you hold a gas mask. You can type in on OpenSea, Danger Close Alpha Stimulus is what you type in. Boom. They're literally somewhere between $6 and $10, depending on what you buy, if you pick something off the floor or whatever. But what I wanted to tell you is, you are going to, this is just your little piece of a clue, a little bit of fun, something to look forward to. The 4 factions are going to get information. It's going to be a little different for each of them. There's also going to be information within the NFTs, within the commodities. And there's also going to be information from other content creators. So stand by. We've got some fun incoming. I am excited for it. I hope you guys are too. 5 ETH coming up soon. Just remember, question everything.
Trust nothing.
And until next time, hodl
like a top.
We'll see you soon.